All right. Yo, what's up, everybody? I got a microphone on. I don't have to yell today. This is your friendly neighborhood physical therapist, Dr. Ryan Welton. If you are new to following me, I call it the I've Failed Everything Clinic. I hear all the time people say, I've failed everything. So I call it the I've Failed Everything Clinic, and I get exceptional results within that patient population. And I've published statistically historic papers, not just in the field of orthopedics, but in medicine itself. It is the analytics of those papers are pinned to my social media, Welton Methods, and you can look them up on AI. Anyways, okay, so today we are talking about patella femoral syndrome, okay? So patella femoral syndrome, to me, gets overcomplicated. I think a lot of this stuff gets overcomplicated, if you ask me. I tell if you join my school group below, my advanced, my school group, it's free, join it. It's I'm talking more in depth about how to help people and what not to do, and what to do, and how I get the exceptional results I get when I have a quote unquote I've failed everything clinic, is what I call it. And one of the things that I see a lot actually is my patients tell me when they have patella femoral syndrome that they went to physical therapy and it hurt, okay? And I asked them inevitably what they did, and they were making them do squats and single leg step downs and things to activate the VMO, right? We were taught that we need to activate the VMO. Maybe that's true in post-surge, but when it comes to patella femoral syndrome, this biomechanically makes sense, okay? This isn't some theory Ryan Welton has. If you just think this through, I'm pretty positive you're going to agree with me. Okay, so when you have a kneecap that is tracking abnormally out of the groove, out of the femoral groove, right? Your patella is tracking out of the femoral groove, okay? And is tracking on the bone. If you have a person with a kneecap actively not tracking in the middle, but tracking on a bone, and you have them do step downs and squats and all that stuff, right? You are taking their kneecap and you are shearing it like this onto the bone, okay? So put it this way. In the last, I don't know, 20 years, I have never strengthened someone's quad to get patella femoral syndrome better. And I also don't recall the last person I couldn't get better with patella femoral syndrome. And the reason why is because I'm addressing the reason why it's tracking abnormally, not try to strengthen it in an abnormal tracking state, okay? Alignment, if you will, okay? So what I do, I actually, if you read my papers, I republished my my papers with updates in it. So if you think you've read my statistically historic papers that I published, if you think you've read them, you haven't read this. It is on weltonmethods.com, and there should be a link in my bio, and click publications. Now, in there, I proposed in there, I added patella femoral syndrome, and I proposed in there that it's just it's either an IT band or a rec fem tightness, like most people deduce. But what I did was create a protocol where I'm I'm just stretching both, because I've gotten to the end of rehabs where I stretch the IT band, but then they still have pain, and I'm like, crap, it was the rec fem too. But they had a negative modified Thomas test. But like, it was still causing the problem because then I stretch the rec fem and it goes away, And I was like, okay, this is like my SI protocol. So people ask me, why is your SI protocol bilateral? What if it's just unilateral? And the reason why it's bilateral is because I used to do these rehabs with people. And when I would do these rehabs with people, and I would rehab one side, one SI joint, because they told me the other side didn't hurt. I'd get to like 8 weeks and I'd rehab them. And then that pain was gone on one side, but then they told me they had pain on the other side. And I'm like, they always had it. You know what I'm saying? And what happens is the brain interprets the most painful area, so you relieve one pain and it's like, oh, actually this side hurts, So the same philosophy that I take with rehab is, I'm like, okay, well, in my experience, my clinical experience, patella femoral syndrome is caused by a tight IT band or rec fem. So I do both. And I stretch the rec fem. I'll do the Ober's test. I'll do the modified Thomas test. I'll even have them squat down and realign it. I'll hold it medial and down, and then have them do a single leg squat to see if it relieves it. Okay. But regardless, I'm stretching their IT band and rec fem, whether it's a positive or negative Ober's test, whether it's a positive or negative modified Thomas test. It doesn't matter to me because I'm going to do both. Now, people stretch muscles all the time. They go to yoga, so it's not something that's going to hurt a person to stretch their rec fem if you do it right and their IT band, right? But, you don't want to get to the end of the rehab, or it didn't get better and it was actually the rec fem, but you were stretching the IT band because you thought it was that. And it's like, and then the person quits, and one of these people ended up in my office. I tried PT, it hurt me, But like I said, inevitably, I hear from people that they are doing squats. Okay, so if you're doing squats with patella femoral syndrome, I expect that person to get flared up. Why would they not? They have bone on bone shearing pain in their bone. You might as well, with that, in my opinion, you might as well take a bone-on-bone knee replacement patient and have them squat down, because it's the same concept. It's not arthritis we're talking about with patella femoral syndrome. It's just bone-on-bone, just shearing bone pain, So that is something that I will never do, okay? And I don't remember the last patient with patella femoral syndrome that I struggled with. I mean, I expect them to get better. I expect them to get better in 5 weeks. It's not something that I'm like, I just expect them to get better. And I know a lot of people use my protocols, just simplified it like me. And they're just like, I don't know, I just do the Welton protocols and that's that. So as I tell my school group, sign up below for my free school group, my VIP group, it's free, where I'm teaching in there. And as I tell people, just don't overcomplicate this stuff, like so many people now that either have taken my courses and gone much more in depth, or they just do what I wrote in my papers, that are just like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do all this crazy stuff. And I'm kind of forgetting about what they taught me in school. And I'm just doing this Welton guys protocols and it's working great. So, like, why would I, So, there's one thing I tell my students all the time is that that people like me believe that I am more important than I am. And I say that because people think that you have to be this like great person with your hands. Now, I've developed all kinds of hands-on methods that, today got bursitis patient out of pain immediately, hip bursitis. Great. But there's an underlying root cause, right? And if you don't get to that underlying root cause through therapeutic exercise, right, then you're not fixing the problem. If the reason why they have a tendonitis in their bicipital tendon is because they have a tight posterior capsule, and it's throwing off the mechanics of the joint, then if you don't fix that, you don't fix that, and then the person still struggles, So you have to fix the underlying issue. But what I have done in my career is I have noticed patterns over the years. And I'm a dyslexic. So dyslexics, we're taught that we're dumb in school, that kind of thing. But actually, one of the British intelligence agencies recruits dyslexics 3-to-1 over normal thinking people, 3-to-1, because they're known for pattern recognition, and they're very insightful. They can think outside the box, and that's how I think. And so over the years, I noticed these patterns that, my SI patients had upslip and or outflare. They had other issues. Maybe they had an anterior or posterior rotation of the innominate, but it wasn't causing the problem. So I created a protocol, my famous SI protocol that I published that made medical history statistically in readership. That takes care of both the upslip and outflare, strengthens the adductors and abductors, and also stretches, lower trunk rotation and piriformis stretch. And now that protocol is literally viral all over the world and still goes viral to this day, 6 years later. So anyways, I say don't overcomplicate this. Do not, in my experience, if you strengthen the quad at any point in these rehabs, you're going to flare the person out. Okay. And I wouldn't appreciate it if you did it to me. Okay. If I came to you and you were strengthening my quad and having me do single leg squats or double leg squats, and I had a tracking issue that was tracking on the bone, that's why they hurt going up and down stairs, right? The patella femoral patients hurt going up and down stairs. Why? Because they're tracking on the bone. And then we bring them in the clinic and then we have them track on the bone. You know what I'm saying? That's not the issue I find. I find in my patients, the issue is, IT band, rec band tightness. I just stretch both. And I expect my patients to get better. Now, there's certain IT band exercises I don't like. There's certain rec fem exercises, stretches I don't like. I've picked the best ones and I created my protocols. And that is in my rehab results course. If you join my free school group below, my VIP group, in there's an option if you want to join my advanced clinical group where I teach weekly live, more advanced techniques. And you get all of my courses, myofascial course, all those connections, 1,000 pages of connections that I mapped in the body, my sciatica cervical radiculopathy connections that I use to get immediate relief in here. And you get my rehab results course. And then I also have my business, cash-based business program, which is, so people don't know this about me. They know me as this clinical expert guy, but I actually teach how to open and run one of these extraordinarily successful and profitable cash-based businesses. And these cash-based businesses are like one therapist can do 7 figures. Like but we're solving problems that people generally, like I call it the upfilled everything clinic, because people come here all the time, upfilled everything, but it's the same issues every time. It's SI joint dysfunction, sacral torsion shear, it's neck tension from stress, TMJ, headaches from stress, things that don't show up on x-rays and MRIs. Actually, costovertebral misalignments in the back. I treat the same thing all the time, all day long. I treat the same thing. And they're getting missed. And what I'm doing is teaching people not only how to open and run a highly successful cash-based business and be paid for your clinical results, but also the clinical part, because you need the clinical part to be successful in the business part. That's what the patients are paying for. I hear people talking online that you should, when you open a cash-based business, stop taking clinical courses. That's what patients are paying you for. They're paying you to actually fix their problem. So I get what you're trying to say, that you should learn business, and I will teach you business. I teach you everything: marketing, what to say, how to best communicate it with the patient to avoid any, misconceptions where you get blamed or something like that. Over the years, I actually was talking about this the other day, and I believe that people love my clinical courses, right? Love my clinical courses. They love my clinical protocols. I did the same thing in my business method for chronic pain patients. I did the same thing in a business model that is reproducible, and I've been teaching it. And people are doing it, and they're saying the same things with patients, and they're having much better compliance rates. And to me, it's going to sound weird, but to me, it's as powerful as the clinical methods, what I did in the business program. So if you are struggling for $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 months, like we do, these models can do 6 figures in a month, with one therapist. I work 35 hours a week. I like to take walks, I need it for my mental health. Like I work less and make more, but I get paid according to my clinical skills. This is not communism, okay? The medical system's communist, meaning everybody gets paid the same based on years of experience. How stupid, If you think about it, I can show you physical therapist assistants that can run in circles around 20-year DPTs. Like, it's stupid. It's so stupid. You should be paid for your clinical outcomes. And maybe one day with AI, they'll track it and have a database. And then people will be forced to go outside their comfort zone. That would be my wish. Other than that, I am out of here. I love you all. Peace. Join my free school group below. Click below. Or go to weltonmethods.com, hit join my free VIP group. Peace.